The topic is holistic health. Susan Guilford was a struggling 25-year-old public relations assistant when she first tried massage. 10 years later, she owns an advertising agency and gets rubbed down twice a week. Her husband is hooked, and her 2-year-old daughter is included as a participant. Susan says without hesitation, "I can't live without my massages." She's one of millions who have turned to the holistic health movement to assuage suffering, stress, and the pain and pressures of modern life. One of the more popular forms of exotic treatment is crystals. Lori Cabot, the witch of Salem, drops a crystal in her moisturizer to improve her skin. Actress Jill Ireland meditated with pieces of quartz following her mastectomy. To cure loneliness, singer Tina Turner holds a crystal a few moments before entering strange hotel rooms. Believers in crystals are beguiled by the pseudoscientific presumption that natural gemstones such as quartz crystals, tourmaline, and amethyst have paranormal healing and restorative powers. New Age advocates insist crystals are more effective if they are programmed or cleared. This is done by washing the stone in ocean or salt water and leaving it outside for 24 hours so the rays of the sun and moon can penetrate it. High-tech methods of programming include passing an audio cassette eraser over each side of the crystal for 30 seconds. Or some crystal consultants teach seminars where participants learn how to cure ailments, erase negative emotions, and recharge energy in sick patients. Attendees are told that since human beings are electromagnetic, talking to or holding a crystal emits sound and energy back to you. These are subtle emissions, not consciously heard or felt, but fed into one's aura. A self-proclaimed crystal expert, Dr. Randall Baer, says, quote, "The crystal becomes keyed to your own particular unique energy blueprint. It actually becomes coded to you as an extension of your energy, amplifying, focusing, and emitting energy flow in very powerful ways," end of quote. One believer in crystals concerned about AIDS in San Francisco aims a football-sized chunk of quartz out the window of her home to, quote, "strengthen the immune system of the entire city," end of quote. In pursuit of health and better physical conditioning, other New Age advocates turn to practices like acupuncture and biofeedback. The latter is primarily a stress reduction technique in which the subject is hooked to a machine that measures systolic blood pressure, the temperature of the fingers, and tensions of the muscles in the forehead. The measurements are displayed on a monitor as numbers or sounds of a high or low pitch. The subject is told to relax, be quiet, and lower the number or change the pitch of the sound. How the patient does it doesn't matter. He's told to do it by using his mental capabilities. Meditation, yoga, Zen, naturopathy, homeopathy, reflexology, iridology, visualization, pyramidology. These are just a few of the holistic healing practices used by a wide range of quacks, mystics, and middle Americans. Researchers are experimenting with therapies like music, guided visualization, and hypnosis. Treating pain is a total experience. Eschewing x-rays and a battery of tests, medical doctors traditionally subject a patient to. Holistic health advocates insist that mind, body, and spirit are integrated as a whole, and treating one without the other cannot bring lasting health. Holism sees the human body as part of a macrocosmic system, meaning the energy of the universe is an extension of God's energy, and that man as part of this energy is godlike in his potential and power to heal himself. Rocky in Dallas, Texas, what's on your mind?
How you doing, Bob?
Yeah, fine. Go ahead, Rocky.
Well, Bob, I believe in crystals, and, I've been involved in Silva Mind Control for quite a while, and they seem to be leading towards the holistic type movement.
Well, the Silva Mind Control organization has been very much involved in it from the beginning.
Well, not as much as you would think.
So why do you believe in crystals, Rocky?
Well, I've had some good experiences with them. I told the woman on the phone there before, I have had 2 crystals implanted into my teeth by my dentist, who is a holistic dentist. And another thing, before I go into that, you mentioned about acupuncture, Bob.
You got holes in your teeth, you got holes in your head, Rocky.
Well, Bob, I think you better stop on the soapbox again there,
You better believe I'm going to get on a soapbox, because I'm out to expose the works of Satan and the New Age movement through holism so that people don't come under demonic influence and get their lives destroyed. That's what I'm after.
All right, Bob. Well, all right. Well, you answer that, but you condemn everything before you know anything about it.
Listen, I have researched this subject for years thoroughly. I've written on it and lectured on it. You're not talking to a Johnny-come-lately here, okay, Rocky?
Bob, now, I've had some very good experiences with crystals and also with acupuncture. Now, acupuncture is an ancient art, all right? Now,
it is an ancient occult art based upon the view that the body is microcosmically representational of this this innate life force of the universe, prana, ki, whatever you want to call it, that flows through, and that man's problem isn't sin, separation, or disease through the fall. Man's problem is misalignment with these ethereal powers of the universe. That's gobbledygook, it's bunk, and it comes from the pit of hell.
Let me correct your statement, if I may, okay? It began as that, all right? I agree with you on that. It began in those contexts. But it has been, through scientific investigation, it has been proven that acupuncture has a physiological effect on the body.
It has a slight analgesic effect, but there is no proof, according to Science Digest, quote, that it can relieve pain or do any of the other things available with overall results with tried and true methods.
Now, wait a minute, Bob. I just read the AMA's journal, the last journal that was just published, and they had a big article on acupuncture, and more doctors are coming to recognize it.
More and more doctors are coming to accept an unexplained method of promoting health and healing, and some doctors are more concerned about the efficacy of the approach rather than the scientific and anatomical legitimacy of what they're doing. Now, I don't deny there's an analgesic effect, and I understand nerve gate theories and other aspects of acupuncture that try to explain it, and I'm not saying it's occultic per se. What I'm suggesting that tied to a philosophical worldview in which it has traditionally been expressed, what you're dealing with is out-and-out occultism.
Well, Bob, 100 years ago, if penicillin would have came along, or as it did, would you have got up and said, oh, that's of Satan, don't use it because it comes from a plant that is by the Euphrates River? I mean, see what you're doing, Bob? You're lumping everything into
No,
one.
I'm not lumping everything in. And anyway, what is the explanation for it? Meridians? Come on now.
Well, as you stated, the nerve gate theory, I mean, there's a lot of good theories. You don't have to base it on the ancient Chinese beliefs. I mean, I know that's wrong. You know that's wrong. But
the needle Rocky, the needle insertion is in completely unrelated anatomical areas, has nothing to do with the epidermis near the treated organ.
But why does it work, Bob?
It works because, first of all, the placebo effect and the power of suggestion, and there may be endorphins released through the nerve gate theory, but there's a difference between an analgesic effect, Rocky, and the overall efficacy of acupuncture as it is being promoted by quack-u-puncturists today. Steve is on the line, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Steve?
Hello, Bob.
Yeah.
Now that I do a little bit of biofeedback work, and also I do fiddle around with biorhythms.
Well, I don't really want to get into biorhythms because that's a whole different thing that's more astrologically philosophical than it is healing power. And I'm not saying that biofeedback is wrong per se. It may even be a useful tool under certain circumstances. But when it has an extended application in a philosophic frame of reference, and I think there's some real dangers.
Well, what do you mean by an extended application, if I may?
Well, first of all, the mental state people often trans into is very similar to the alpha state of spiritualistic mediums, and there is a susceptibility to the spirit world that concerns me a great deal. And if there aren't any hedges and any safety valves placed on biofeedback by a conscientious practitioner, some people have experienced spontaneous psychic phenomena. Yes, they have, and I've talked with them, and it can be very dangerous.
Well, okay.
And if somebody is introduced to altered states of consciousness in the idea that they're untapping some innate human potential, then there's a great deal of danger involved.
Now, then you talked about music therapy.
Yeah.
Now, then, if I may, one of my favorite groups to relax with is called Mannheim Steamroller.
Yeah.
The Fresh Air album.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Now, then, do you consider them to be somewhat satanic?
No, I don't say that they're satanic, and just relaxing to music is one thing. But suggesting that there's a whole philosophical theory behind there, a kind of non-cerebral appeal to the auditory cortex that directly affects the midbrain, and that you can treat people's physiology by programming certain kind of music to them, that's a totally different situation.
Well, what about now treating somebody, say, for a mental, not mental disorder, but due to stress?
I don't have any problem with that, because you're not dealing with the alteration of the consciousness, you're not dealing with an expansion of the so-called human potential, and you are not trying to alter the philosophic worldview of the person, which is what you find in many extensions of holistic health, as applied by advocates of the New Age movement. As you can see, this is going to be an interesting discussion today. Got a doctor on the line. At least says he's a doctor in Langley, British Columbia. Dr. Tyler?
Hello there, Bob.
Yeah.
Hello, it's Dr. Tyler calling from British Columbia.
All right. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I am a naturopathic physician.
Mm-hmm.
and I also am a born-again Christian,
Mm-hmm.
and I listen to your show quite regularly, and I enjoy it very much, and I think that the work you do is fantastic.
Thank you.
What I kind of resent is being lumped into the category with all of these New Age things, and it's true. Holistic health is not what I practice. I do practice a holistic approach, but that is only in terms of my approach to the patient, because I'm concerned with what's happening with their whole body rather than just their foot, if it's their foot that's sore.
Well,
I want to know why their foot is sore. Maybe there's a vascular problem in their foot because they have diabetes or something like that.
Yeah, excuse me. Let me jump in and say that one of the things I hope to do over the next couple of days is I do want to clarify. I understand why you'd have some resentment toward being lumped in there, but I want to clarify certain aspects which are dangerous and certain aspects which are not dangerous. Now,
and I am so glad that you are doing this show because it's very important that the people out there know that there are practitioners not only in the naturopathic medical practice but also in the regular medical practice, the allopaths or MDs, that are doing things that are quite wrong in terms of our Christian beliefs.
But do you believe, would you buy the statement that Dr. Andrew Saul, who is a prominent naturopath, says, quote, there's absolutely...
Naturopath where?
Well, he's a well-known naturopathic practitioner. He says, quote,
I know every one of the naturopaths in British Columbia, and I studied down in Oregon myself.
Okay, well, I want to quote him.
Okay.
He says, quote, there is no absolute proof that germs are the primary cause of any illness, end quote. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Well, Bob, I can tell you I've read all of the medical studies and reports, and in fact, you can culture the throats of 1,000 healthy people. You will find every deadly organism known to man there. Why are those people not sick?
But do you dismiss the viral and germ bacterial orientation of traditional medicine?
No, I don't, because I treat people the same way as any other doctor does. I give them antiviral medicines, antibacterial medicines, and they get healed.
But you do understand there are some involved in naturopathic medicine, and this is what I'm trying to warn against.
Absolutely, Bob.
Who treat it on a basis of mind power, of mental power, of willing to be well, and in doing so, they're doing something much more than using vitamins, natural applications, and medicinal additives. What they're doing is treating it on a psychic realm.
Absolutely, Bob. It's dangerous. I know for a fact there are naturopaths who are very heavily into this whole New Age thing, and I mean right into it with the channeling and the whole rest of this bit. And it's dangerous, and I am very concerned for my Christian brothers and sisters.
Okay, so how would you define the differentiation between what you feel is appropriate naturopathic medicine and inappropriate naturopathic medicine that has a philosophical alignment with the New Age movement and with a kind of occult holism?
Okay, that's a tough question, and I'll see if I can answer that to your...
Because there is a distinction, I think, between the two.
Yeah, it's hard to make. There's a very fine line there. What our philosophy really is simply an approach as naturopaths to look at the whole body, and certainly there's a statement of mind, body, and spirit, but and certainly even when I was training in school, there were a lot of people into the gyms and all of that crazy stuff, but that was accepted among the doctors and professors in the college that this was a sort of a fringy aspect of the training, and that nobody would really use that kind of stuff. It was, like very strange things that people would do on the side, and certainly there are MDs that do the same kind of stuff.
I would add, for example, vegetarianism is not an evil or a wrong. In fact, it can be very good for an individual. But when it becomes a form of spiritual asceticism as promoted by a naturopathic physician, then I think you've got some problems. The evangelical church, to a large extent, has disengaged itself from dealing with God in transcendent terms, and it's kind of, to some extent, in recent decades, accepted a more rationalistic, technological view of the world. And as a result, the suffering of humanity, appropriate attention to the physical and social realms has not gotten the right kind of attention from the church, and into this vacuum has stepped the holistic movement. And the result is the New Age movement has capitalized upon it? Well, at the same time, medical care from traditional medicine has abandoned the spiritual dimension of care. Once again, here comes the New Age movement stepping into the scene. Medicine has had a lot of material successes, and this leads some doctors to think that all health problems can be solved by some form of surgery, some new wonder drug, or some brand new techniques. In the process, people have come to expect perfect results from doctors, and they've adapted a kind of passive, uninvolved attitude toward their health care. The impersonalization of traditional institutional medicine has led to resentment on behalf of people. People feel fragmented. They feel subdivided. And the philosophy of holism appeals a great deal to them. But what are its dangers? You are what you wear. That old adage referred to shirts, suits, ties, dresses, skirts, and blouses. But in today's crystal power age, it means something entirely new. Millions flirt with metaphysics and New Age philosophy by wearing rock crystal jewelry. Fueled by people like Shirley MacLaine, the trend has made wealthy entrepreneurs of those who sell pet rocks. According to believers in the efficacy of crystals, amber promotes fertility, amethyst opens the spiritual senses, jet prevents depression, peridot mends relationships, zircon influences balance, and crystal is an all-purpose healer. Scientists say there's no evidence stones have the power to heal or perform fantastic feats. Psychologists say, though, if wearing a pretty gem induces psychosomatic relief, it can be valuable to the wearer. Strangely, those who refuse faith in the God of the Bible place incredible trust in the rocks he created. Catherine McCormick, a Denver art gallery owner, recently selected 3 of her favorite crystals to accompany her on a trip to Paris to assure a safe flight and aid her memory in negotiations. Another aspect of holistic health that uses rocks is called metaforms, a term that comes from a company that produces geometric forms ranging from intricate pieces of jewelry to large structures, including furniture. The idea is that an appropriately shaped structure emanates energy that equalizes the stresses and strains of everyday life. Some find it easier to just get a massage. Consequently, they're stripping down, lying down, and tuning their body's energy instead of gulping Valium or an extra martini. Others have their feet massaged on the principles of reflexology. Some literally drink poison and overdose to cure what ails them because they believe in the principles of homeopathy. In the pursuit to relieve pain and pressure, still others have their bodies stuck with dozens of needles and acupuncture treatments, or relaxed with electrodes attached to their bodies in biofeedback sessions. Millions have taken up meditation, yoga, Zen, while the more far out sit under pyramids scaled down to the dimensions of the Great Pyramid of Egypt, which they believe generates health-producing biocosmic energy. Okay, Maria in San Diego.
Oh, hi, Bob.
Yeah.
Hi, I had a call. I disagree. I've been using meditation for many years, and I like it. I use visualization. I'm as healthy as can be. How do you compare that with the laying on of hands? I've had born-again people lay hands on me, and I was amazed. I sat there, and all I could think of is, I can do this myself. I don't need them to help me.
Well, now wait a minute. If you can do it yourself, what you're saying is not that you don't need them, but that you don't need God.
No. I do believe in God.
What God?
I feel God gave me this ability.
What God?
Meditate.
What God?
My concept of God.
Well, that's the whole point. Who's God? What power? What healing? What supernatural force is giving you all this health?
God.
What God?
God.
What God?
My concept of God. It's maybe not your concept of God, but it's my concept of God.
Well, we got a different God then.
No, I don't think so. I think we all have the same God.
No, we don't have. Come on, now that's that's New Age gobbledygook.
You might have a different concept of God than I do. You might have a different concept of God than everybody else in the world. It doesn't matter. It's all the same God.
No, it's not all the same God. There is a real God and a pretender to the throne of God called the devil. And if you don't have
the God,
the
devil. I mean, where did the concept of the devil come in?
God.
How did the concept?
It came from God.
Start?
It came from God. That's where it came from.
That. I believe God created good and evil, and we can choose. But there is no power as great as God's power.
What God? Now wait a minute. Come on, now don't give me this verbal semantic runaround here. You're not playing intellectually fair here, Maria. You may disagree with me, and that's fine. But at least be intellectually fair.
Well, I'm trying to, Bob.
You're not.
But when I think of, like, for instance, my friends who are born-again Christians, and I adore them. I like to be with them. I like to...
Yeah, and some of my best friends are black, too.
Exactly. Mine, too. Let me tell you. However, when I think they have a different concept of God, and their God is more powerful than mine, that's bunk. God is for all of us. Whether we're born again, whether we're Jewish, whether we're Hindu.
What God, Maria? What God? It makes a great deal who your God is.
Well, who is your God?
The God of the Holy Scriptures who revealed himself to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as
the Old Testament?
As the Lord who healeth thee. That's the God.
All right, that's a Jewish God. That's my God then. Is he all right to pray to? Will he answer my prayers?
This is not Vanna White, spin the wheel and pick your God time, Maria.
No.
This is eternal serious business.
Are you saying that the people who are Jewish do not get the prayers answered?
Did I say that?
No, that's what I'm asking you.
I said I'm talking about the God of the Scriptures.
I'm talking about the Bible, the God of the Old Testament.
But I'm not talking about an all is one, we are a spark of the divine, there's no devil kind of God. That is not the Jewish God, and it's not the Christian God. That's a different God.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is.
That's strange. I always think now, hold on a second. I think God made all of us in his image, and God loves all of us.
Hey, I wasn't made in the image.
I don't know what God looks like because I've never seen him. Have you? You don't either. No one knows.
The Bible tells us about the character and nature of God.
God is loving, and he's kind, and he's merciful, and he loves everybody, regardless of what
heals,
they have.
He heals and brings health to our bodies in response to an obedient approach to him as the one true God.
That's right. That's why he heals me all the time.
Now wait a minute. You got a different God. Where's your healing coming from?
From God. Where's it coming from?
Well, I want to tell you the devil can heal too. The magicians of Egypt did a very good job.
You're amazing. No,
what?
There you go again. I don't believe that. The God is out to destroy, and he's a liar and a thief and blah, 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 all that. Why should he heal me? He's not going to heal me. It's God that I'm praying. And
wait a minute. The devil is more than willing to heal you. He's perfectly willing to symptomologically relieve the pressure and the pain because he knows if he can get you to pay an eternal price, and that's the damnation of your soul. But he doesn't mind if you feel good down here.
You know what you're saying? You mean you're saying that Jewish people and Hindus are all going to hell?
Leave the Jews out of it. Let's pick on the Hindus.
No, I'm not going to leave the Jews out of it.
Well, I'm talking
about their God too.
They got the same God. We got the same God, but the Hindus got a different God.
Well, all right, I'm talking about the Jewish. I'm talking about their God.
You don't have the Jewish God.
I have the God that they have. I have the God that you have.
No, you don't.
God that the Hindus have.
You can't have... Now, wait a minute. God sent his people into the midst of polytheism and paganism with a different concept of God, and it was the Hinduistic philosophy that God raised his covenant people up to combat. You got a different God. The Jewish God is not the Hindu God.
We people here have decided to put a label on God, but it's all the same God that made all of us. He created all of us.
Well, fine then. Then fine, just get your healing from wherever. As long as you feel good, that's what counts, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hey, why worry about the philosophical religious basis of the whole thing?
Exactly.
Why be concerned about occultism? Why be concerned about dealing with any aspects of the spiritual sensitivities of the healer to the works of darkness and demon forces? Hey, come on now. There's no devil anyway. Why worry about it?
Well, there is no devil. Has anybody seen the devil? I mean, people right away say, oh, the devil made me do it. Or, oh, she's terrible. The devil's on her back. Nonsense. That person did it because they want to. That person is in trouble because they want to. All they have to do is decide, I'm not going to do that.
Strange spiritual universe. You don't want a devil, but you do want a God of some kind who does good.
Yeah.
I'll bet you, let me guess, Maria.
Right.
Let me see if no hell either, right?
Oh, no hell. I believe in reincarnation.
How could I have guessed? I mean, after all...
I knew you was at the...
After all, I mean, you want to be able to have many chances to come back and do it all over again.
Well, I would hope so. I hope
sure. Hey, listen.
So I hope we don't just have one crack at it.
Hitler's going to get one of those too? Hitler get one of those too?
Who knows what Hitler's doing?
Answer yes or no. Answer yes or no. Wait a minute. Why do you want God if you got karma? You get to do it all over again. Who needs a God? It's you on your own best efforts, doing it right the next time around.
Exactly. Only God can decide. I can't. I'm not God. Neither are you. You can only decide whether you're going to hell.
You and Shirley MacLaine got it all figured out. Why should the rest of us worry?
I don't know what Shirley MacLaine says. I don't follow what Shirley... I follow what
you certainly do. You are a spitting image of Shirley.
I don't even know anything about Shirley MacLaine. I know she's a star and she's she's a dancer, and that's about it.
Oh, come on. Now, you know all about her
No.
dancing in the light. Baloney.
Well, then how do you know I know all about it?
Well, because
you
you're...
are assuming too much.
Well, come on now. I mean, you are your spouting mouthpiece for the whole apologetic of New Age, occult, reincarnation as demon Hinduistic teaching.
I really am?
You are.
Funny. That's funny because I thought this way for years and years, and I've always listened to my heart say, what is God telling me? And this is what I come up with.
Hitler listened to his heart, too, and gassed 6 million Jews. I don't want people who listen to their heart. I want people who pay attention to the God of Scripture. And that God says there's certain things that are right and certain things that are wrong, and stay. You know, the Bible calls all this stuff enchanting and charming, and the Bible condemns all this.
Well, then tell me why all the people in the Bible all had dreams, and they all analyzed their dreams.
Yes, and who told Daniel? No. Who told Daniel the interpretation of his dream? He said these secret things belong to the Lord. It was the Lord God.
Well, that's his interpretation.
It was the Hebrew God who told him the interpretation. He didn't go sit somewhere in a starry-eyed trance looking at flowers on the wall and get the interpretation. Because the Bible says he got it from God, the God of the Scriptures. That's
How do you know God's not telling me? You can't speak for God.
Because he has an adversary who's the devil, who would like to destroy you, and if you can't see him, you don't see God. That's the bottom line, Maria. Coldwater, Ohio. Hi, Linda.
Hi.
Yeah, what's on your mind?
Okay, I have gone to an I can't pronounce it now, hydrology, where you look at the eyes.
Iridology or iridology. It's pronounced both ways, yeah.
That, and also the reflexology.
Yeah.
And I had never met the woman before.
Excuse me, one person did both?
Yeah.
Okay, that figures.
And she had never met me before, and I'd never talked to her or anything. And she did my feet first, and then she started telling me some problems I was having. And everything she told me was completely correct.
When you say she did your feet, explain what she did.
Okay, I sat in like a reclining chair with my feet up, and she knelt in front of me on a stool, and she had hand lotion or some kind of lotion and massaged my feet.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says there's like crystals like of salt that get into the bottom of your feet, and they make the nerve endings or something.
Sure.
Anyways, and it hurt when she did this. When she would rub certain areas, it would really hurt, and I would have to jerk my foot away because it would hurt so bad.
Linda, anybody who does not get a lot of physical exercise, and even those who do, who has never had a very austere, stern foot massage, have somebody grab the bottom of their feet and twist and yank.
No,
and put
she did twist.
Yeah, they put pressure on the appropriate bones. Anybody is going to experience pain and discomfort and relief when it's over. Now, as far as the diagnosis is concerned, a lot of that is very good guessing, and what isn't good guessing is the peeping and the muttering of spirits in the ears of the people.
I don't understand that.
Well, what I'm saying is the devil is telling her. The devil is psychically communicating to her information that makes you think she found out from the bottom of your foot. Tell it to a medical doctor and watch him laugh in your face.
Oh, you mean about her seeing my feet?
That her diagnosing your body by feeling your feet. Yeah.
Well, I do have the problem that she said I do have.
Yeah, so what?
And
Couldn't the devil tell her that?
Probably, I agree.
Sure.
But the reason I called is because I was thinking about going back to her. Not to her, but to another one.
Well, first of all, not only are you opening yourself up to occult danger, you're wasting an awful lot of money on absolute total foolishness, quackery. It's a ripoff. Holistic health offers us a brave new world in which the future of medicine may depend upon manipulating unexplained energy sources. The idea is rooted in ancient occultism, which believed illness is caused when biocosmic energy is prohibited from flowing through the body. Whatever technique to alleviate this congestion, whether it's acupuncture, massage, visualization, crystal, or others, the danger is the same. Most such techniques fall in the realm of what the Bible calls charming or enchanting. Holistic health is the reinvention of ancient shamanism, the witchcraft so severely condemned in God's words. Christians don't need to tap into undefinable energy. The one who opened blind eyes and made the lame to walk is our healer and Savior. No confidence in cosmic energy can replace faith in Him as our promise of hope and healing. Our gauge is God's Word.
This is the end of Side 1. Please turn the cassette over at this point for the continuation of the message on Side 2.
Harry Hahn, a Denver computer electronics instructor, uses crystals to ward off thieves. Roberta Farley, an interior designer who married last summer, presented her 6 bridesmaids with 6 crystal small pendants that had been programmed by a psychic to emit emotional stability. Terry and Roberta are just 2 of many New Age advocates who believe in the theory of holistic health and that crystal power leads to health and happiness. Such reverence for crystals has raised the price of pet rocks to the extent that some are willing to pay up to $150,000 for quality gemstones the owners believe have the power to heal. Herb Alpert of Tijuana brass fame is the proud owner of a 750-pound slab of quartz he purchased at a Manhattan mineral shop. Alpert says, "It makes me feel good to be around it. Since it's from God, you can't not like it." New Age on crystal healing therapy. Healing by sound is another aspect of holistic health. Background music has long been used to reduce stress and provide a placid environment. Now, some holistic healing advocates claim the right music can cure depression, diagnose mental illness, and reduce the effects of surgery. They base their ideas on the theories of the ancient Greek philosopher and mathematician Pythagoras, who taught his students to cleanse themselves of fear and worry and anger by daily singing. Proponents of music therapy point to the Bible, where David cured King Saul's despondency by strumming on his harp. The idea of holism, the concept of a total integration of mind, body, and spirit with the forces of the universe, is gaining rapid acceptance in some medical circles. Traditional medicine, which has carefully diagnosed patients through meticulous objective research, succeeds to suggestions that looking into the iris, massaging the bottom of the foot, or sticking the body with acupuncture pins may be a more efficient way to health and long life. One New Age advocate believes that the anxiety of chronic and catastrophic disease can be eased by guided imagery and meditation. Gene Achterberg, author of Imagery and Healing, places students in trance-like states, claiming the altered consciousness relieves people of the fear of dying and enables them to discard paranoid thoughts of pain. Underlying all holistic health techniques is the idea that a macrocosmic elemental energy pervades the universe and invades the human body as a microcosm of the total system. Now, reduced to theological terms, this cosmological concept shows man as a god inhabited by forces traditionally known in Eastern occultism as ki or prana. Consequently, just as yoga, Zen, and acupuncture have been used by Eastern mystics to manipulate the body's supposed energy, holistic healers believe that through massage, biofeedback, hypnosis, or crystal power, they can restore the body to harmony with the cosmological powers of healing. Okay, John in Wichita, Kansas, what's on your mind about holistic health?
Well, Bob, I didn't agree with some of the things you said about AK and acupuncture because we've had great success with it compared to what most people call traditional medicine.
Are you speaking as a patient, a doctor, or what?
I'm a patient. My son's a patient. Daughter and wife have been patients at one time or another.
Well, I don't deny that acupuncture can bring all kinds of health and healing to individuals. The question is whether or not the philosophical worldview surrounding it is compatible with Christianity. Job 14:4 says, "Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean thing?" Do you know anything about the history of acupuncture?
Well, my son is attending classes in Kansas City on a weekend basis once a month for a year to become a certified acupuncturist.
Well, you got a problem.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do. Do you know anything about the history of it?
Well, I've read, only one book, okay, the prelude to the text, but I don't see it being any different than a misuse of drugs, misuse of surgery.
No, wait a minute. No.
Anything else.
John.
Come on. Okay.
A pill or a scalpel has nothing to do with an occult philosophical system.
Well,
that is an anatomical technique, or it is a chemical addition to the body, right or wrong. But when you deal with acupuncture, you're dealing with a philosophy rooted in the yin-yang theory of Taoism that suggests health of the body is appropriate when the body is placed in equilibrium with these biocosmic forces. And that takes place when the ki which flows through the body has its yin or yang appropriately disrupted by the introduction of a needle. And that needle is a counter-irritant against this biocosmic energy. And the thing is so stupid, they don't even tell you whether it stops the flow of the yin or the yang. It doesn't make any difference.
Bob, it could be a needle, it could be a low-voltage electrical shock, or it could be just the end of a ballpoint pen that's not, doesn't have any ink in it, that will stimulate a nerve or a muscle.
Hang on for a minute. Stimulates what? Stimulates a nerve
or a muscle.
And you tell me how a needle in your earlobe can cure your spleen. Go ahead, tell me.
I'm not going to say that a needle in my earlobe will or cure a spleen. I'll tell you what has happened in our family. Right, wrong, or indifferent, AK and acupuncture helped my son with a major hernia that he was scheduled for surgery on. The doctors, with two opinions, said had to have immediate surgery. He was a runner and a weightlifter, and it was cured within 2 weeks without surgery.
A muscle tear? A muscle tear was cured by acupuncture.
A major hernia, okay, in a lower right abdominal area, right next to the groin.
What does the insertion of the needle have to do with the healing?
There was no needles insertion, Bob. It was only finger manipulations.
That's worse yet.
Okay, but it was cured without surgery.
How?
Using...
No, how did it happen? Explain to me the biologic forces that were at work that accomplished it. How did it happen?
Well, if you would like for me to arrange the doctor to call you, he could understand and tell you the technique that was used.
No, I want to know. I want to know.
Intestines back within the stomach wall.
Now, wait a minute. If we're putting pressure on the abdomen to put the intestines back in there by the manipulation of the hand, that's one thing.
Okay.
But that's not acupressure. We're talking about acupressure, whereas in the zone therapy theory, some treatment is applied to a certain part of the body that sympathetically affects a totally unrelated part of the body. And if he's pushing around in his abdomen, that's not true acupressure.
Okay. It's not only, you have to push the intestines back within the stomach linings.
But how did the healing of the muscle tissue take place?
Okay. Let's go back. After you get the rupture back within the walls of the stomach cavity, he had to go down into the quads and the hamstrings and stimulate muscles to cause the stomach muscles to tighten.
But we're not talking about acupuncture when we deal with that. You're talking about the direct application of a therapy of the hand directly affecting the muscle. But as in the case of things like auricular acupuncture, the ear is presumed to be a microcosm of the body. And needles put in the ear are supposed to affect unrelated sympathetic parts of the body. And that's what I have an objection with. Marissa, out in EJ, Grantsville, Maryland.
Yes, I'm a reflexologist, and...
I'll bet you love me.
Oh, sure I do. I'm a born-again Christian.
Oh, boy.
But I don't appreciate being called a kook or a quack.
Well, then the burden of proof is on you to supply the appropriate anatomical evidence and the validation of the medical community supporting your theory.
Yes, I can do that.
How?
I can give you a medical doctor's name. Several of them, in fact.
Oh, well, sure, you can give me medical doctors' names who believe in spiritualistic healing and biocosmic energy, too. That didn't prove anything.
I have no idea what these, the spiritual side of these fellows, and I give you DOs or DCs,
I don't want DOs. I want MDs.
Well, DOs give medicine, too, but I have MD. I can give you an MD here.
One MD is irrelevant to me. It's irrelevant. I want to know whether or not there are sympathetic corresponding nerve endings at the bottom of the foot in relationship to the internal organs of the body.
Well, of course there are. And aren't you connected with nerves in your body?
You know exactly what I'm saying, EJ, and you're avoiding the issue, and you're not responding to what I'm saying.
No, I'm not avoiding the issue.
I
heard you ask the...
You have seen your reflexology charts, and you know what they look like, and you know that the bottom of the foot, starting from the big toe downward, what I want to know is why they didn't put the head on the heel. Why did they put it on the big toe? I'll tell you why. Because the bottom of the foot remotely resembles the shape of a human torso, and
it's in the same thing as in the hands.
That's also psychometric. That's a form of occult divination.
How do you think your chiropractor works on anybody? He's working on nerve beginnings instead of nerve endings.
Any chiropractor who treats internal abnormalities by manipulating the hand or the spine, suggesting that healing regenerative forces of internal organs diagnostically can be applied by manipulating the spine, isn't the chiropractor somebody should be going to see.
Well, you tell me this. When you hit your arm, why do you rub it? Makes it feel better, doesn't it?
What's that got to do with anything?
Well, it has plenty to do with it.
No, EJ, you're not dealing with the issue. The issue is the occult fountain from which this...
There is no occult foundation for this.
Well, of course there is.
No, there isn't. You've been reading just a few books.
No, I haven't been reading a few books. I'm well knowledgeable in this area. For centuries, centuries, occultism has taught the practice of what was known as sympathetic medicine, animal magnetism, and correspondence. And these theories are based upon the idea that just as there is a macrocosm of the universe of which the body is a microcosm, certain parts of the body, the ear, the hand, the foot, etc., represent microcosmically the total of the human body, and you treat the body. Now, this is witchcraft, and it's going...
It is not witchcraft. It is helping to improve circulation. It stands to reason.
Well, of course you rub the bottom of the foot, you're going to improve circulation.
Listen, if you would have water in a tube and you squeeze one end, it pops at the other end, doesn't it?
What's it got to do?
Well, it has plenty to do with it. That's exactly the type thing this is.
Can you cure cancer of the pancreas by manipulating the bottom of the foot?
I don't cure anything. God cures.
Then don't do it.
I do it because
Then send people to a decent doctor where they're not going to get some phony diagnosis that could cost them their life.
I get medical rejects to come to me.
Yeah, I know, because there are people who become disenchanted with medicine, and they don't understand the lack of medical objectivity in what you do, but they listen to these wonderful praise reports of how you can help people, and then they come to you.
There's one thing, Bob.
What?
I don't agree with everything you say, because when you get your mind in one track, you're going to stay there. Nobody's going to change you.
That's right.
That's exactly right. And
you're not guilty of the same disease?
No, I don't have the same disease. But when I realize that you are attacking, I realize that there are wrong things, but reflexology is not one of them.
Well, I would suggest that you have a certain vested interest in defending this somewhat profession of ill repute. I mean, you obviously you're going to defend it. You're making money at it.
No, I'm helping people with it.
Helping people to do what? Helping people to deal with the real illness that they have, the real physical malady that they have.
You bet.
That's what you may think you're doing.
No, I'm not.
But let me tell you what you're doing. Beyond the psychosomatic placebo effect, what concerns me the most is that these kind of anatomical practices go back in various kinds of occultism, such as yoga and kundalini yoga, where psychic powers are manipulated by doing these same kinds of things.
Do you know, we can go way back. If you take Strong's Concordance, you can look in there at pharmacy, and it will say it means magic, sorcery, and witchcraft.
So what?
Drugs.
So what? So
well,
what?
So what? Anyway, you can get a drug. I get people that come and have a lot of drugs that they say that they're hypnotic drugs. Hey, this is...
Well, nobody said... Now, wait a minute. You see, you're doing the same thing the lady did a moment ago. You're picking on the deficiencies in modern medical science, holding them up to a glaring light, and you're saying, therefore, because of this, don't listen to medical science. Let me rub the bottom of your foot and take care of what's going on inside you. And I'm saying...
Bob, the only thing I can say is that you need a good foot massage to settle you down. That's the only thing I can say.
Fine, give me a good foot massage. I don't mind that. I'll take that any old day. A nice good foot massage is one thing, but don't tell me that you're going to treat internal physical maladies by doing this kind of thing, because I'm going to counter that the occult system of philosophy and worldview from which this is emanated, in contradiction to legitimate medical science, places people in profound spiritual danger. There's a whole metaphysical framework this stuff comes out of. And when it emerges, the infiltration of that philosophy is so pervasive and encompassing that what you have is a practice intricately related to a belief system that is contrary to Christian principle. Robert Vanna, the artist who created the distinctive tea boxes for the Celestial Seasonings Company, will create another line of unique packaging. Vanna's job is to package 21 types of crystals ranging from diamonds to plain quartz. Each rock will sell from $20 to $100, and it'll come with its own pedigree and a pamphlet which will explain its origin and healing powers. Marketing to crystals is just one aspect of the holistic health movement that is sweeping America. One New Age healer says, your body is crystallized thought. Patterns are stored in your bones, and vibrations from crystals can replace a bad pattern. Well, while it may be true that crystals vibrate precisely in response to electrical currents, the use of crystals in computers, lasers, and watches is far removed from assuming that a crystal pendant wards off cancer, or herpes, or AIDS. The New Age movement embraces reincarnation, psychic phenomena, trance channeling, and holistic healing, and that includes many of these practices I've talked about. Its followers include people like Edgar Mitchell, the sixth man to walk on the moon and commander of Apollo 14. His Institute of Noetic Sciences is a clearinghouse for holism, whose ideas he embraces because he had an experience of unitary consciousness while orbiting in outer space, and it transformed his life. Others like him have their bodies massaged, their muscles attached to electrodes, their skin punctured with needles, and their energy redistributed. by laying on of hands, all in the name of holistic health. Some even believe music has the power to heal. One psychic uses music therapy to treat headaches, stomach upset, and depression. The sound is directly applied to the body in the theory that each part of the body vibrates at an inaudible frequency. Consequently, transmitting the correct frequency to a diseased organ restores it to a condition of proper vibration. Bill in Seattle, thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
Well, you were talking about the impossibility of there being a representation of the body as a whole in another part of the body. Are you aware of the homunculus?
Yes.
Is the homunculus not a representation of the whole body in another part of the body?
What I'm referring to is a diagnostic technique based on the presumption that there are micro-representational aspects of the body which allow you to treat a certain portion of that microcosm sympathetically affecting a specific part of the whole.
Don't brain surgeons use the homunculus to treat other parts of the body? To determine what's going on with other parts of the body?
To my knowledge, they do not do that diagnostically in a curative form. No, not in terms of the kinds of claims that are made by holistic healers.
Okay. In regards to your thought about something being proven, what is it that is required for something to be proven?
I'm not sure the nature of the question, but I mean.
Well, okay. You talked about that. Medical science, allopathic medical science, uses proven diagnostic
in most
procedures.
cases. In most cases, yes.
What is required for that to become a proven diagnostic procedure?
Objective medical inquiry, the scientific method being employed.
Okay.
Where there are blind tests and where there is appropriate research that's taken place, that's verified objectively by independent sources.
And where does the money for those research projects come?
That's an absolutely irrelevant question.
No, I don't think it is, Bob.
Yeah, come on now. I know the track you're on.
Okay, explain the track that I'm on.
Are you going to blame the drug companies and all these other people? They're in collusion with the medical doctors and it's some big conspiratorial thesis. And what are you?
I'm a naturopathic physician.
Okay, well, sure. I mean, you believe in that conspiratorial thesis. You're not part of the conspiracy. You're the true healer. Well, naturally, you're going to posit yourself that way. And I'm not saying you're wrong in what you do necessarily, because basically, naturopathic medicine is very, very good and fills a vacuum that the medical community should have taken care of a long time ago, and allowing the natural processes of the body to heal by aiding them with vitamins and so on, and proper diet. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. In 1 Corinthians, it talks about the body of Christ and relating it to man's body, and when one of the members hurts, the whole hurts.
True.
If they're using if the Spirit of God was prompting Paul to write this down, then I would expect that there was truth in what he was saying.
Well, I don't know that you can take an anatomical reference to a metaphoric principle describing the interconnectedness of body parts and suggest that a treatment of the foot directly affects an internal organ in terms of its organic condition. I don't see how you can draw that parallel. You're entitled to draw it, but it certainly doesn't seem a logical parallel to me.
Okay.
We may have to agree to disagree on that one.
That's fine with me. You also talked about placebo, and you're saying that the placebo is you left the impression that placebo is bad. Medical doctors use placebo all the time, and admit to it. It is accounted for in the process of their research.
But what I'm saying, Bill, is that when you have a placebo effect whereby you have only symptomologically masked the pain, the suffering, or whatever that the patient is receiving, and you have not dealt with the root organic disorder, a disservice has been done to that patient, because he may go on to develop either a terminal or an acute or chronic condition because he didn't arrest it when he could have stopped it in the first place by getting the right kind of treatment because he believes some of this gobbledygook. I've got Diane here in, where is this? Minco?
Uh-huh.
Minco, Oklahoma. That's interesting. All right, go ahead.
Well, I'm a Christian, and I was healed by it. First thing, I am totally against the New Age movement. I am not a New Ager. My doctor that healed me with acupuncture, he is a Christian also.
Mm-hmm.
It was not a self-hypnosis thing.
How do you know? How do you know that?
Because it was a cyst, an ovarian cyst.
Mm-hmm.
The X-rays showed the cyst before, and it didn't show it afterwards. I mean, you just can't hardly prove it much better.
And where did he put the needles?
He put them all over my body in various places. What I'm mainly calling for is I have just recently been made aware that maybe some of this type of stuff is more New Age, and kind of anti-Christian, and I don't really understand why it cannot be a Christian form of medicine.
Well, the answer to that's very simple. The entire philosophical basis for it is totally, completely embedded with occult principles. Absolutely, totally. From the number of acupuncture points, which was based upon the calendar of the days of the year, to the meridian energy flows in the body, which was based upon the 12 signs of the zodiac, to the selection of the points themselves, and the philosophy of the redistribution of the yin and the yang in the body. We're dealing with something here for which there is a complex, perfected, occult explanation. And one more thing. Then what's happening is a doctor, who cares whether he's a Christian or not, comes along and says, I don't buy that. Sticks the needle in and it works. But that doctor cannot explain to you why and how it works.
But he can.
No, he
showed
can't.
me a chart of my body, of all the nerves and how they interconnect. I feel like he just has a different type of understanding of how the body works.
Diane, he was not interconnecting nerves in your body when he put those needles in there. I'm sorry, the man wasn't.
No, he was just stimulating the parts of the body that needed stimulating to...
Who says?
He did.
He says. How does he know? Because he got this information from an ancient Taoistic Chinese philosophy.
Yeah, well,
and he reinterprets it and uses different nomenclature and applies it.
I didn't really ask him, his background, but we did talk about God and we did talk about Christianity, and it was God that sent me to this man.
Diane, that is a highly personal, subjective conclusion that you have drawn.
But isn't it the same type of conclusion that you have drawn?
No. I'm just saying, look, on one hand, we have a body of established evidence of the explanation having for centuries been philosophically founded on satanic occult principles. On the other hand, we have the absence of a biological explanation of how it really does work according to human anatomy. So what are we going to accept? On the right hand over here, the lack of an explanation, some doctor who sticks needles in and says, I don't believe the other? Or do we believe for centuries what the Chinese Taoist acupuncturists have taught us? Now, there may be an element of physiological truth, such as endorphins, the nerve gate theory, and some of these other things. I don't deny that possibility. What I'm saying, the point I've been trying to make, is that a fountain doesn't send forth sweet water and bitter, the Bible tells us. The Bible nowhere suggests that we should take practices for which there is an established foundational explanation in divination and occultism and somehow redefine it. If we're going to do that, then we might as well start witching for water to find our wells. We might as well start playing with Ouija boards. We might as well start studying astrology and just saying, well, we don't accept the occult explanation. We'll just give it a new explanation over here because it works. And I'm saying you can't. That is a spiritual principle which cannot be violated. And I must admit, I'm extremely frustrated at the inertia of Christians who somehow can't hear a bell go off in their head and smell a rat when they see one. Why? And you know why? Because Satan's very clever. I said earlier, Satan works on two bases. One, grief. The other, pain. And he knows that we human beings are so desperate to have either alleviated, pain and or illness, that we will sacrifice other kinds of principles in the pursuit of that goal.
Well, I agree with you.
But all you know is you had an ovarian cyst healed, and that's good enough for you. And I'm saying that's the problem.
Well, I know, but I just feel like I don't feel like you're giving me anything truly biblical that says this man is not just as good.
I just told you. I just get. What do you want? Excuse me, Diane, but what do you want me to do for you? Do you want me to explain the religion of Taoism and the philosophy in yin and yang?
Well, no.
And how Lao Tzu came up with the philosophy in the first place? And how at the Shaolin Temple, Buddhist monks meditating came upon these practices? How ancient Indians in North America practiced the same type of thing, only they used knives and spears and so on? This whole idea of redistributing biocosmic energy in the body is found in every primitive culture. Some of them they use knives, some they use spears, some they used voodoo fetishes, some they was. Where do you think the whole idea of the needle and the voodoo doll came from? There's a growing discontentment with traditional health care in America today, and that's positive. Many are returning to the idea that prevention and changing lifestyles is preferable to expensive hospitals. But I tell you what, Scripture tells us that improperly discerning the Lord's body can also result in sickness among us. The Apostle says a failure to walk closely with God and depend upon His healing power means we suffer more than we should. Let's condemn the occult ideology of holism, but at the same time, we Christians better quit smoking, curb our appetites, shift from fat to fiber, exercise our sedentary bodies, and live to honor the Lord who made us, and have a little of that bodily exercise that profits little that Paul told Timothy about.
This is the end of the message. For further information regarding other topics available on cassette and in printed form, write Bob Larson Ministries, Box 36A, Denver, Colorado, 80236.